All right, what's up? This your boy Bucks for the PC Network, Players Club Network. Welcome. This your boy Bucks on Watch It with Bucks. We're here to review and talk about the new movie Woman King and the Dahomey Amazonians, which is an all-female army. I'm gonna read it from here. It's an all-female military regiment of the Kingdom of Dahomey, which existed from 1600s until 1904. They are the only documented female armies in modern history. The Western Europeans gave them the name Amazon. Of course, Amazon is a Greek word. The emergence of all-female military regiment was the result of the Dahomey male population facing high casualties in military fighting against neighboring West African states. This led Dahomey being one of the leading tribes in the slave trade with the Oyo Empire. Okay? You see this? Okay, so let me go. Which was used for commodity exchanges as part of the growing phenomenon of slave trade in West Africa during the Age of Discovery, until the British Empire brought an end to the slave trade in the region. The lack of men likely led the kings of Dahomey to recruit women into the army. So what I'm saying is basically, everyone, we are idolizing the movie The Woman King for no reason. They put this movie out. What I don't know. You can go look at the director. The director is not a FBA and is not a black person. Then you put some superstars in the movie, and they're proud to be the Woman King. But I just think it's disingenuous of the way that they actually created this movie and put it out for Black Americans. This is not a Black American story. This is an African story. You should have put it out in Africa somewhere. We don't, as a FBA American, slave traders and people who sold slaves are against everything we stand for. So why are we watching or going to fund and watch this movie? I don't think nobody should support this movie. I mean, this is a slap in the face to foundational Black Americans. If Africans want to celebrate that history, they can. Maybe the Europeans, the British and them who the Dahomey and them worked for, capturing people, well, maybe they need to do that. You know, maybe they can find someone and plan their movies and worship slave traders. But I'm not. So let me just start with, this is something from the history guy who I like to listen to about the Dahomey.
With his army depleted, Agaja is said to have created a special unit of women to be armed like soldiers and appointed officers to each company in order to make his army appear larger than it was. Intimidated, the Witta King retreated instead of faced the Dahomey army. This was an early appearance of what would become known to the Europeans as the Dahomey Amazons. Agaja negotiated a peace between Dahomey and Oyo, which required Dahomey to pay a tribute in slaves. Agaja spent the last years of his reign conquering more nearby peoples and kingdoms. Importantly, he instituted administrative reforms that would serve to hold the kingdom together. He also dealt with European interests in the kingdom, trading with the British, French, and Portuguese, but apparently steadfastly resisting the Dutch. Dahomey was a significant source of slaves, and between 1730 and 1737, slaves could only be sold to representatives of the king. In 1726, Agaja sent the British trader Bullfinch Lamb and a Dahomey ambassador called Captain Tom on a mission to King George I of England, with a scheme to create a plantation in Dahomey. When Lamb finally brought Tom to England after having sold him into slavery for a time, the English court dismissed the letter they carried as a forgery. Agaja died in 1740, and his historical legacy has been a matter of some debate. English abolitionists argued that the letter carried by Lamb was evidence that the king was an African abolitionist because it highlighted trade in something other than slaves, but the letter's authorship remains disputed. Agaja definitely participated in the slave trade in the 1730s, but Robert Harms, a Yale University professor, argues it was because Agaja required a steady supply of gunpowder, and the Europeans were only interested in buying slaves. Professor Robin Law argues that Dahomey's militaristic culture is best understood as a consequence of increased warfare, stimulated by the overseas market for war captives. There is also a history of Dahomey of human sacrifice, especially the annual customs started by King.
Okay, so that's basically the history guy take on the Dahomey Amazonians, and you heard him talk about slave traders, and that's how their kingdom was slave traders to the European powers, all of them. And then the European powers came back later on and enslaved all of them. So it's just silly. It's silly even to go out to even support this movie. The history of the kingdom of Dahomey. So, basically Dahomey is modern day Benin, and it's in between Nigeria and Ghana, Togo. It's just right there. And as you can see, it has perfect access to the Atlantic Ocean and to sail on off, and also to where Europeans can come down from the different areas and come get some West African workers, slaves, and take them back to the Americas, South, Central, and North America. So, So they actually let Europeans come set up in the area to do a whole bunch of different raiding of the town. So basically, the Europeans contracted the Dahomey Amazon and also the different warriors of the Dahomey to go off into the Nigeria, Benin, Ghana, Togo, and capture slaves and bring them back to them. During the military fights, they lost all their battles. I don't know why everyone tried to act like they won their battles. They won a few battles, pushed the people back. But as you can see, they don't have rifles or bayonets or nothing until later date. They was fighting with arrows and stuff. So they was basically outgunned, overpowered. They didn't have gunpowder for their rifles, so they had to do more trading of slaves to obtain goods and stuff. So, they were different specializations among them, with some being experts with rifles or bow and arrows. So they like I said, once they got weapons, they was able to use the modern weapons. But like I said, they all basically got wiped out because they didn't have enough technology. And don't forget, they fought against their own people, and then their own people didn't trust them. So when a few Europeans came over to the shores, it was easy to wipe those guys out because they were so stuck on trading instead of building up an army and protecting the rest of the nations of tribes. Because don't forget, Africans don't see themselves as one person. They all different tribes. They don't go by genetics or DNA. It's just different tribal problems. So also with the Dahomey Amazons, a lot of people don't know that, it was say out of 20,000 warriors, there was only say 5,000 women warriors. So it wasn't that many women warriors in the tribe or in the army or whatever you call it. They had a few. They was good fighters. I mean, I'm not trying to take away the fighting ability. They also had each Dahomey Amazon owned, I think, 10 to 20 slaves each. And the slaves will walk in front of them and ring bells in front of them when they walk. And people, men or anyone on the streets as they walk by, couldn't make eye contact of the Amazonian women. Okay, so here goes this one lady. She's Amazonian who comes under the tutelage of Nanakas, whatever. She spoke with the historian in 1978, saying she fought against the French nearly 90 years prior. She died in November of the following year with her age estimated over 100. While this seems nearly impossible, the regiment did have girls as young as 8 join their ranks, so it's quite possible she was a preteen or even a teenager who fought these battles. But yeah, you didn't fight the French for nearly 90 years. I mean, come on, the French would have wiped you out in 90 years, the whole crew. So that's like, like I said, they like just like this movie here. They just overdo everything and they don't tell really the truth. But this your brother Bucks, showing you the Dahomey Amazonian women, and I want everyone to subscribe, like, and stay in the loop for the rest of the videos that's coming, because I have more. Or another thing, that the ladies in the movie Black Panther, those are the Amazonian women. Those are the Dahomey Amazonian women. The same women from Black Panther movie. I don't know why they put them in Black Panther movie, but of course, they had to put those women in Black Panther to help out the men, because the men can't do nothing without, the fearless black woman warriors who, so they put them in there. But it just shows you, that this is just basically rhetoric that they always push in, that strong black female stuff, and like I said, they got those ladies in Black Panther, and then they made this movie off of Black Panther, which is called The Woman King. But I just think it's foolish to even call somebody a woman king when women are queens and men are kings. It's not one person in history that was a woman king. So I don't know why they even come out with that. And then don't forget, the Dahomey Amazons was under a king, so they never even had a leader besides a man. So this Brother Bucks, I'm out. I'm done talking about this foolishness. Peace.